Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is coming out this year from Nintendo. It's going to be a remastering of the original Luigi's Mansion 2 / Dark Moon game from the original Nintendo 3DS. Now, this game has had a mixed reception amongst fans, some loving it, some hating it, some being somewhere in the middle, but I think one of the biggest divides in this game among the fan base is the mission structure. Unlike the game that came before and the game that came after it, this game is divided into missions, each mission sending you into the mansion to do a certain task, then at the end of the mission you're pulled out by Professor Egad. This worked well enough because of the fact that Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon / Luigi's Mansion 2 was originally a handheld game. So, giving the game a more pick-up-and-play structure made a little more sense back on the 3DS, but because of the fact that now it's coming to a home console, yes, the Switch is also a handheld, but for the sake of this argument, we're going to call it a home console, it makes more sense to open this game up a little bit and not give it as rigid of a structure. While I wish they would completely restructure the game and get rid of the mission structure entirely, I completely see why that just isn't feasible. So I went back through Luigi's Mansion 2 and I started to think, which missions can I merge with other missions just to make you get pulled back to the lab less? That way, there still is that mission structure that keeps Luigi's Mansion 2 intact, but you get pulled back to the lab a lot less. So we're going to go through this mansion by mansion, and I'll run through all of the missions with you guys. If you enjoy this video, definitely make sure to like and subscribe for more Luigi's Mansion 2 HD content. So, without any further ado, let's get right on into the video. Starting with Gloomy Manor, to refresh your memory, Gloomy Manor originally had, in total, 7 missions, being A1, Poltergust 5000, A2, Gear Up, A3, Quiet Please, A4, Visual Tricks, A5, Stick a Situation, A Boss, Confront the Source, and A Bonus, Gradual Infiltration. So instead of 7 missions, as were in the original game, I reduced this down to 4. The first mission would include A1, A2, and A3. But you may say, but Zach, after A2, you go back to the lab to repair the gears, so there has to be a mission end there. Well, I'd say, rather than literally ending the mission and having to go and select the next mission, just have repairing the gears be a cutscene. So, you get the gears, you go back to the lab, repair them, and then immediately the game sends you back to the mansion to continue on with A3. Then, the second mission would be A4 and A5. It would be cool if there was like a new cutscene in between A4 and A5 to, have the spiders start coming out, like, let's say, of the walls or of certain areas of the mansion, and you see them start to add the spider webs. Then, instead of, again, being sucked back to the lab, have Professor Egad just call you and tell you, hey, these spiders are messing things up, go and take care of it. Then, of course, the third mission would be the boss, and then the fourth mission would be the bonus level being Gradual Infiltration. These last 2 missions are unchanged from the original game. Next up is Haunted Towers, which also originally had 7 missions, being A Job for a Plumber, The Pinwheel Gate, Graveyard Shift, Pool Party, Doggone Key, Tree Topping, and Hostile Intrusion. Now, from those 7 missions, I actually condensed them down to 5. For the first mission, I merged B1 and B2. So for this one, rather than being sucked back to the lab after you defeat the first gobber, you can continue on and work towards getting the pinwheel gates. Then the second mission would be the Graveyard Shift, B3. That one would still be its own standalone mission, nothing changed there. The third mission would be B4 and B5. Combining the pool party and the doggone key segments just kind of makes sense. Rather than taking you away from the mansion right as Polterpup steals your key, you can start going right after him immediately after he steals the key. Then you'd return back to the lab after you retrieve the key from Polterpup. Then, of course, missions 4 and 5 being the boss and bonus stages, again, completely unchanged. Next up is Old Clockworks, and in the original game, this mansion also had 7 missions, being A Timely Entrance, Underground Expedition, Roundhouse Brawl, Play Catch, Peace at Last, Showtime, and Outlandish Interruption. Merging some of the missions, I ended up with a total of 5 missions as opposed to the original 7. The first mission would be completely unchanged from the original game, C1. Just have that be its own mission. For the second mission, we would combine 3 missions, being C2, C3, and C4. Given that all 3 of these missions kind of have the same objective, being to collect the clock hands, I feel like having over half of the missions of the mansion being about collecting clock hands, I feel like that would really be kind of annoying. So merging all the clock hand missions together, especially when Polterpup steals the minute hand you have to chase after him, as opposed to being dragged out, just go, 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 and get those clock hands. I think that makes the most sense. The third mission would be unchanged. Well, at least it would be, the next mission being the 5th mission from the original game. Just that would be the 3rd mission, but other than that, completely unchanged. Then, of course, the 4th and 5th missions would be the same, being the boss and the bonus level again. So, that's unchanged. Next up is the Secret Mine. Now, in the original Luigi's Mansion 2, this mansion had 5 missions, being Cold Case, Hit Rock Bottom, Across the Chasm, the boss, and then the bonus level. Now, the Secret Mine is actually an interesting one. When I was kind of going through it, I couldn't really find a good way to, seamlessly merge or find out how to blend the missions in this mansion. So, I actually ended up not doing anything with this one. I think it's kind of fine-ish as is. So, the missions from the original Luigi's Mansion 2, I think, can stay. Especially because it also does round out to an even 5, which I've had for most of the other mansions so far. Then, of course, we have the final mansion, Treacherous Mansion, and I'm including the final boss here. Including the final boss, the Treacherous Mansion has 8 missions, being Front Door Key, Double Trouble, A Train to Catch, Ambush Maneuver, Paranormal Chaos, Stop the Nightmare, Terrifying Invasion, and A Nightmare to Remember. I took those 8 missions and crammed them down into 5 missions. For the first mission, I combined missions E1 and E2. So rather than being sent back to the lab after collecting the front door key, you can actually just work your way back and unlock the door yourself. In the original game, EGAD sends you back to the lab after collecting the front door key because he says you're pretty far from the front door, so I'll just send you back here. So rather than doing that, either have EGAD pixelate Luigi to the front door and not have to, go all the way back to the lab, or just let Luigi walk back to the frickin' front door or something. Then for the second mission, I would actually merge the original missions 3 and 4. Now, I know you do have to go back to the lab to plan the ambush on Big Boo, but the thing is, because of the fact that the Big Boo boss is so short, just merging it with, the last mission, so that all you have to do is go back to the lab and then just quickly be resent back into the mansion without, again, having to reselect the mission, having to go through an extra cutscene. Just minimize that, go for the boss right after you go back to the lab, and then have that all be one mission. Then for the third mission, I would combine the 5th mission from the original game and the night boss from the game. Again, these two segments kind of go together, given that you have the paranormal chaos, and then you kind of go right into the night boss battle. I think it makes sense combining those two as opposed to having them apart. I don't really think there needs to be much explanation there. And then, of course, the 4th mission is the final boss. Now, obviously, you're basically taken right from, the last mission to the final boss. So there's no real in-between the mission segment kind of thing like there usually is. But I still think it should be its own separate mission in case anyone wants to replay, the final boss and all of that. And then, of course, the last mission is the final bonus mission. So there you have it, guys. That's how I would structure Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Now, I'll be completely honest, I've only played this game a handful of times now, right? So my expertise on the game isn't as high as some other people's, but let me know what you think down below. And of course, I know a lot of people might ask, but Zach, what about the upgrades? If we're not going back to the lab as much, obviously we won't be able to turn in our coins as much for upgrades. Well, my answer to that is having the game allow you to go back to the lab at any point to deposit whatever coins you may have collected, or what have you. But I still think there's still enough missions in the game to where that really shouldn't be an issue, given that my main thing is I combined a lot of the shorter missions where you wouldn't have really gotten that many coins anyways. But what do you guys think? I really hope you enjoyed this video. That's personally how I would structure Luigi's Mansion 2. I mean, there's still a lot of missions, there's still a lot of them, but it does cut out a bit of the fat, a bit of the unnecessary cutscenes that don't really need to happen between Luigi and Egad, the things that could have been limited to a dual screen call. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I would truly appreciate to hear what you all have to say. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff down below. And of course hit that notification bell so that you're notified of when I upload videos. And until next time you guys, I'll see you all in the next video.